Do you want to build a modular overgrown shire with a lot of possible configurations? You're in the right place, because today I will show you a step-by-step guide on how to complete this project using almost one material. Want to see how? Then get your tools ready and let's craft! We will start this build by cutting a bunch of XPS foam. To do this, we will cut 8 cm square pieces. This will be used for both the stackers and the stairs. I cut 8 pieces, but 7 will be enough. 4 for the stackers, 2 for the stairs and 1 for the central piece. Next, we will make sheets approximately 5 mm thick from 3 of the squares we just cut. Set aside the sheets equivalent to 1 of the foam squares, and with the remaining ones we will make the stairs. To do this, we will make cuts 4 at a time, since we want to make that number of stairs. The idea is to make cuts that will give us complementary pieces. In other words, the same sheet will provide the largest and smallest steps, and so on until the middle part. This might be not very clear as I explain it, so I will include a small diagram for better understanding. When you have all the pieces ready, glue them together using PVA glue and let them dry. Great, now let's move on to the columns. I use a jig on the proxon to cut octagons. You can do this without this equipment by moving the wire to 45 degrees. If you don't have a hot wire cutter, you can use templates or simply make rectangular columns. I will also use some leftover sheets to cut larger octagons for the bases. Now we will texture everything using the foil wall. This is the ideal time to add cracks if you want. I thought of it later and did it when I was halfway through priming, so if you want a weathered look, consider it now. With everything textured, we will glue the parts using PVA glue and toothpicks to make the pieces sturdier. I did it with 3 pieces because I wanted to look like they literally stacked huge stone slabs during construction. This will make them not fit 100% perfectly and give it a more organic and decayed look, but you can make them from a single piece and mark the lines with a knife and pencil. Now it's time for the stonework, and I must admit that I went a bit crazy. Using a pencil, we will etch grooves into the stackers to simulate masonry. I made very small and irregular stones, and although I'm very happy with the final result, making so many marks was very tedious. Depending on the patience or the look you're going for, you can mark larger or smaller stones. That is up to you. Once we have the top and sides textured, we will add extra roughness using the foil wall. Before doing the same with the stairs, I applied some filler to hide the joints. This is not 100% mandatory, but recommended for a better finish. When it dries, we proceed with the stonework, essentially the same as with the stackers, but we will respect the lines formed by the foam sheets. This way we will disguise the joints and it will look like stacked stone layers. Almost done, now we're going to build the central piece. Here you can really put anything you want. I decide to make a sort of a pedestal on which I can place an object of my choice later. Remember, we still have some square sheets left? Well, we're going to cut 5 mm from each side of one and 10 from each side for another. Also, after looking all the leftover pieces, I found a triangular piece that I will cut into 4 sheets. With everything cut, we will texture each piece individually, as always using the foil wall. Now we glue everything together with PVA glue using a piece of cardstock to spread the glue evenly. I'm also going to cut a small octagon which I will texture and place in the center of the base. For the altar, I have this foam column that I cut a while ago to test the proxon jigs. I'm going to cut the base and place it upside down. You can also cut a simpler shape with a knife if you don't have these jigs. To prevent it from breaking, I will use a toothpick which I've cut so it doesn't protrude, and sharpen it to insert it more easily. Add PVA glue and place it in position. Finally, I wanted some more detail, so I'm going to make some statues. I've cut 4 foam square and 4 slightly wider bases. With a knife, we bevel the top edges and add other details like cracks and breaks. We widen the cracks with a pencil and texture the pieces with a foil wall. To glue it, we will use PVA glue and screws to add weight to the base, making them more stable. Finally, I'm going to use some old Lord of the Rings elf figures as statues. Press them into the pedestal to mark where we will insert them, hollow out a bit and glue it with PVA glue. Alright, we've finished the construction. This part took me just one day. although I must say that the stonework took most of my time. Now let's bring our shari to life by applying color to the pieces. Generally, I've been painting stone with a fairly grey palette, just like I did here in the Rain Temple video. This time, however, we're going to do it differently, using much warmer colors. But first, if you're enjoying the video and want to support my channel, give it a like and subscribe. Additionally, if you have any questions, suggestions or ideas, I'll be reading you in the comment section down below. And now it's the time, let's paint! As always in all my projects, I'm going to apply a mixture of black acrylic paint and PVA glue. This type of primer helps to harden the pieces and serves as a good base for the subsequent paint layers to adhere correctly. Once dry, apply a fairly loaded dry brush of beige. We aim to cover most of the surface, leaving the black visible in the joints and crevices. We will apply this layer to all the pieces except the statues, which we will paint later with metallic colors. To highlight the details and textures, we will do a dry brush, this time truly dry, with buttercream. We will highlight the edges, so it's important to brush lightly and in the correct direction. For the columns, we will do it horizontally, while for the stairs we will mostly do it vertically. For this build, I want an overground effect, so now that we have the stone base, we will simulate wear and the passage of time using inks. I've prepared 2 shades of green, a dark brown and a darkened red. You can use other shades, but green is a must. I'm using 2 brushes, one for the greens and one for the other 2 inks. We will apply it gradually, letting the ink slide downwards due to gravity. To add richness to the effect, we can do a wet blend with the different colors, creating a nice gradient. When the ink is completely dry, we will go over some areas again with buttercream dry brushing. It's not about covering everything again, but choosing some areas that may have darkened too much or lost texture. Now let's move on to the statues. There are many options here. Initially I thought of making them bronze, but I finally chose gold. We will start by completely covering them with a layer of gold paint. Once dry, applying a skin wash all over the statue. I saw this in a while back video and really liked the effect. But I wanted an even more worn effect, and my ink was quite dense, leaving the statue very red. So when it was halfway dry, I used a cotton swab to remove the excess and create the effect I was looking for. Finally, we will only need to add flock. To do this, we will prepare a mixture of different products, so that the moss looks rich in colors and textures. I used a mix of 3 foliage in 3 different colors, also adding static grass and dry basil. Dry mixing everything, and then add PVA glue and a little water. We will apply this paste carefully with an old brush or a coffee stirrer on the pieces. Try to prioritize the joints and corners, as these areas are where the moss tends to proliferate more. It's also important to achieve a certain balance in the amount of moss and try to apply it organically, simulating its natural appearance. Once everything is in place, we just need to wait for it to dry, and our modular shine will be finished.